Silence is a powerful move. In a world filled with noise, opinions, judgments, distractions, silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They feel the need to speak up, defend themselves, post constantly, prove their worth, explain their every move. But silence, when chosen with intention, speaks louder than any shout. It carries confidence, it carries clarity. It shows that you are not moved by noise, not rattled by outside pressure. You're grounded. You're focused. When you stay silent, you're no longer reacting to every little thing. You're not giving away your energy to meaningless conflict or opinions that don't build you. You're choosing peace over chaos. That's power, because the truth is, you don't need to tell everyone your plans. You don't need to respond to every insult, every slight, or every misunderstanding. People who truly know who they are don't seek constant validation. They let their presence, their discipline, and their results do the talking. The most dangerous person in the room is the one who isn't trying to prove anything. That person has already accepted themselves. They've put in the work behind closed doors. They've trained in silence, and because of that, they move with quiet confidence. You don't see their struggles, but you will see their outcomes. That's what silence protects. Your process. It shields you from the distractions that derail most people. While others are talking about what they're going to do, you're already doing it. While others are debating, you're executing. While they perform for attention, you build in the shadows. Silence also gives you something that's hard to find today: time to think. When you're not constantly reacting, you start to understand yourself better. You get in tune with your instincts. You learn to hear your inner voice, the one that truly knows what you want. In silence, you grow, you analyze, you plan, you prepare. It becomes your laboratory, your training ground, your sanctuary. And maybe the most important thing is this: silence gives people room to underestimate you. That's a gift. When you're quiet, people assume you're not a threat. They overlook you. They think you're not working. They think you've stopped. But you haven't. You're just quiet about your next move. You're working in silence so that your success can be loud. So when the time comes, your actions will catch them off guard. And that's a moment you won't need to explain, because it will speak for itself. So no, silence isn't empty. It's full of intention. It's full of strength. And the moment you realize that staying silent while you focus on your own growth is the ultimate power move, that's when everything starts to shift. Let them talk, you just keep building. Focusing on yourself leads to clarity and growth. It sounds simple, but in practice, it's one of the hardest things to do. Life constantly tries to pull your attention in 100 different directions. People's opinions, social media, expectations, distractions. And before you know it, you're living for everyone but yourself. You're trying to meet standards that aren't yours. You're chasing dreams that don't belong to you. That's when things start to feel off. You get lost in the noise. But the moment you turn inward, the moment you decide to make yourself the priority, that's when things begin to change. When you focus on yourself, you start to see what really matters to you. You start asking questions that matter. What do I really want? Who am I trying to become? What kind of life do I want to live? These questions don't have easy answers. They take time, but the clarity you gain from asking them, that's powerful. It cuts through the confusion. It gives you direction. And most importantly, it gives you ownership over your life. Growth doesn't happen when you're constantly comparing yourself to others. It doesn't happen when you're too busy trying to be what other people want you to be. Growth happens when you stop all that and say, let me figure out me. That's when you begin to evolve. That's when you start seeing your own patterns, your habits, your triggers, your strengths, and your weaknesses. And from there, you can start to build. You can start to change, not for anyone else, but for yourself. People often think focusing on yourself means isolating or becoming selfish. It's not about shutting the world out. It's about getting centered. It's about creating a space where you can hear your own thoughts clearly, where you can recharge, realign, and reset your path. It's about choosing your peace over constant approval. It's about choosing growth over comfort, because focusing on yourself doesn't mean you think you're better than anyone else. It just means you've realized that your time, energy, and purpose are too valuable to waste. The truth is, when you focus on yourself, you naturally begin to attract better things, better opportunities, better people, better energy, because you're not moving from a place of desperation or distraction. You're moving with intention. You're not chasing, you're creating. You're not begging for recognition, you're becoming undeniable. People can feel that. They can sense when someone has done the inner work. You walk different, you talk different. And life starts to respond to that energy. Focusing on yourself also teaches you patience. Growth takes time. There are no shortcuts. It's about consistency. It's about showing up every day, even when no one is watching. It's about building the kind of discipline that doesn't rely on motivation, and the beauty of it all, one day you'll look back and realize that all the things you were worried about, all the people you were trying to impress, all the distractions you thought mattered, they were never the point. The real victory was in the process, in the quiet progress, in becoming the version of yourself you always knew you could be. So don't feel guilty for choosing you. Don't apologize for going inward. That's where the real transformation begins. Because when you focus on yourself, you don't just grow. You evolve into everything you were meant to be. You don't need to prove anything. Your results will speak. We live in a world where everyone wants to be seen, heard, and validated. Social media has made it easy to show off every step, every move, every win, even the ones that haven't happened yet. But here's the truth, real success doesn't come from noise. It comes from discipline. It comes from work. And most importantly, it comes from results. Because at the end of the day, it's not what you say you're going to do that matters. It's what actually gets done. There's a quiet strength in choosing not to explain yourself to everyone. Not everyone is going to understand your journey, and that's okay. Not everyone is going to believe in you, and that's okay too. You don't owe the world a detailed explanation of your hustle. You don't need to defend your pace, your goals, or your process. Why? Because when you really start moving with purpose, you realize that talking about your goals doesn't bring them any closer. Execution does. Action does. Your energy should be going into becoming better, not into convincing people that you're getting there. That shift changes everything. When you stop trying to prove yourself to people who aren't rooting for you anyway, you free up space. Space to create, to grow, to win. You begin to realize that proving yourself is a distraction. It pulls you away from the real work, and most of the people you're trying to impress are too busy with their own lives to really care. So why waste time trying to be understood when you can be undeniable? Results are undeniable. They don't require explanation. They speak volumes, they silence doubt, they outlast opinions, and the best part is, they show up when you've done the work, when you've been consistent, when you've kept your head down, when you've stayed focused. That's when people start to take notice, not because you asked them to, but because they can't ignore what you've become. There's something powerful about showing up and letting your presence do the talking. Letting your growth speak, letting your wins echo. You don't need to remind anyone of what you're capable of. Just keep working until your success speaks louder than your words ever could. Let people wonder how you did it. Let them be surprised. That silence you kept while you were building, that's the same silence that will make your results thunder when the time is right. It's also important to understand that your value doesn't depend on recognition. Some of the most powerful growth happens in private. Some of the most impactful work gets done when no one is clapping. That doesn't make it any less real. In fact, it makes it more valuable because you weren't doing it for the applause. You were doing it for the mission, for the future, for the person you're becoming. So forget the performance. Forget the need to prove. Let your journey be yours. Let your work do the talking. Let your character and consistency define your reputation, not your words. The ones who need to see your progress will see it, and the ones who don't, they were never your audience anyway. You don't need to prove anything when your results make the statement for you. Private effort builds public success. In a world obsessed with visibility, people often forget that the most important parts of growth happen behind the scenes. Everyone wants the spotlight, the applause, the recognition. But the truth is the real work. The kind that transforms you, elevates you, and prepares you for greatness, happens when no one is watching. It happens in the silence, in the struggle, in the quiet hours when you choose to show up for yourself, even when there's no immediate reward. It's easy to admire someone's success once they've made it. It's easy to be inspired by the finished product, but very few people are willing to put in the work when no one is clapping. Very few are ready to wake up early, stay late, push harder, and stay consistent without validation. That's what separates those who talk about success from those who actually achieve it. The secret is simple. They did the work in private long before they got any praise in public. When you build in private, you give yourself room to fail. You give yourself the freedom to make mistakes, to learn, and to grow without judgment. You're not performing, you're not trying to impress, you're focused on becoming, and that's where the magic happens. Progress made in private is pure. It's intentional. It's built on discipline, not applause, and that's why it lasts, because you didn't cut corners. You didn't rush the process. You respected the grind. The gym sessions when no one's watching, the late nights spent learning, the early mornings where you choose purpose over comfort. Those are the moments that build something real. They sharpen your character. They test your will. They prepare you for the moment when the lights finally do come on. Because when that moment arrives, you won't just be ready. You'll be solid, built, proven, not just by what people see, but by everything they didn't see. People often say they want success, but they don't want to do the private work it requires. They want the results without the discipline, the rewards without the sacrifice. But that's not how this works. Success doesn't show up because you posted about your goals. It shows up because you kept showing up, even when it wasn't fun, even when it was hard, even when no one believed in you but you. And the beautiful thing about private effort is that it teaches you resilience. When you work in silence, you learn to rely on yourself. You build inner strength. You develop a mindset that doesn't waver when things get tough, because you've already faced the hard days. You've already trained in the shadows. You know what it took to get here, and no one can take that from you. So let others talk. Let them chase attention. Let them skip steps. You stay focused, stay grounded, keep building in silence. Because the day will come when the doors open, the lights hit, and the world finally sees what you've been working on all along. And when that day comes, your results won't just speak, they'll scream. Your quiet grind today will be the loud proof of your greatness tomorrow. Self-leadership is the foundation of real leadership. Before you can lead anyone else, before you can inspire, guide, or influence, you have to be able to lead yourself. That means doing the hard things when no one is asking. It means taking responsibility for your own actions, habits, and mindset. Because if you can't control your own life, you have no business trying to lead someone else's. Leadership starts within. It starts with mastering your thoughts, your discipline, your emotions, and your decisions. Too often people want to be in charge without being in control. They want the title, the authority, the recognition, but they haven't built the habits or the mindset to sustain it. Real leadership isn't about power. It's about accountability. Can you hold yourself to a standard even when no one's looking? Can you stay consistent when no one's cheering you on? Can you show up when you don't feel like it? That's what makes a real leader, not the spotlight, but the integrity behind the scenes. Leadership requires self-awareness. You have to know who you are, what you stand for, and what your values are. You have to be able to check yourself, to be honest about your flaws, to confront your weaknesses without shame. That takes maturity. That takes discipline. It's not always pretty. It's not always comfortable. But it's necessary, Because when you lead yourself well, people notice. They see the example, not just the words. You don't have to ask for respect. You command it with your actions. Leading yourself also means protecting your energy. It means setting boundaries, saying no when you need to, and not allowing people or circumstances to pull you off your path. That takes strength. It's easy to go along with the crowd. It's easy to blame others when things go wrong. But self-leadership means owning it all, the good and the bad. It means standing firm even when it's unpopular, even when it's lonely, because you know where you're going, you know who you're becoming. And here's the truth. When you get good at leading yourself, you naturally become a leader to others. Not because you said you're a leader, but because you've shown you can be trusted. You've shown you have the vision, the character, the stability to walk the path and bring others along with you. People don't follow words, they follow example. They follow consistency. They follow someone who has clearly done the work, lived the lessons, and built from the inside out. Whether you want to lead a team, a family, a business, or a movement, it all begins with you. Not just the image you present, but the reality you live. You are your first follower. If you can't trust yourself, no one else will. If you can't discipline yourself, you won't be able to guide anyone through discipline. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give direction when your own compass is broken, so the work has to start within. Lead yourself with intention, with clarity, and with unwavering commitment. Everything else will follow. Because at the end of the day, leadership isn't about telling people what to do. It's about being someone worth following. The strongest leaders are the ones who've mastered the art of leading themselves first. Alignment happens when your energy is focused and clean. Life moves differently when you stop scattering your attention and start directing it with purpose. Most people feel stuck, not because they lack potential, but because their energy is all over the place. They say yes to everything. They chase what everyone else is doing. They let their thoughts get clouded by doubt, comparison, and noise. But when you clean that up, when you become intentional about where your energy goes, things start falling into place almost naturally. It's not magic, it's alignment. Being focused means you've chosen a path and committed to it. It doesn't mean you won't face distractions. It means you won't be moved by them. It's easy to get sidetracked by things that look good but don't align with your purpose. It's easy to get caught up in trying to prove something, in chasing validation, or in being everywhere at once. But true power comes when you stop trying to do it all and start focusing on what really matters to you. That's when your mind clears up, your path sharpens, you stop entertaining what drains you and start investing in what fuels you. And when your energy is clean, you stop operating out of fear, ego, or pressure. You start moving from peace, from confidence, from clarity. You stop chasing things you don't really want. You stop forcing things that aren't meant for you. Clean energy means you're no longer trying to manipulate outcomes. You're allowing things to unfold because you trust your preparation. You've done the work, you've cut out the noise, you're not desperate and you're not confused. That's when the right people, the right opportunities, the right timing, all of it begins to align. Alignment isn't about having everything figured out. It's about knowing what doesn't belong and letting it go. It's about trusting your intuition when something feels off. It's about creating space for what you do want instead of cluttering your life with what you don't need. That clarity only comes when you pause and check in with yourself. What are you really giving your energy to? What are you constantly thinking about? Who are you constantly trying to impress? If it's not in line with your vision, it's a distraction. People often look at someone who's in alignment and think they're lucky. But alignment isn't luck, it's discipline. It's awareness. It's choosing not to engage in every fight, not to respond to every opinion, and not to carry every burden. It's a commitment to yourself, to your peace, to your future. It's waking up every day and making decisions that are rooted in where you're going, not where you've been. That's how alignment is built, one clear, intentional choice at a time. And once you start living that way, everything begins to move more smoothly. Doors open, stress lowers, relationships become more meaningful. You stop begging and start attracting. You stop explaining and start becoming. Because you're in alignment, not just with your goals but with your values. Not just with what you want, but with who you are. And that level of peace, that level of focus, it can't be faked, and it can't be shaken. When your energy is focused and your spirit is clean, the life you're chasing starts chasing you back.